There in the quietness, you just hear Dad's cough, like, ugh, and I think that should be one of the things you bleep out the cursing with.
But I was trying to keep it related to the movie, and I'm not having a lot of ideas for this movie because
I want. Oh no! Oh, you don't know. Come on, should I give it to you?
Yeah,
Rare Kit Kat. Rare.
Ew, that was gross.
It is literally a scene. Alice and Janie
No,
goes,
I know.
Kit Kat.
And I hated it. And it was gross. Okay, sold.
Sisters who've seen it. We are the sisters who've seen it. Sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters, sisters who've seen it.
All right. Welcome back.
You've said 2 people. Do you think
I
gained more than 2 people?
Yeah, I'm thinking 4.
Wow, doubled?
Yeah. Woo.
For episode 3?
That's statistics.
Wow. Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah. Still don't know who they are, but I think we got some. Also, not to get on a tangent, but I have some really exciting news for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so the cast of Almost Famous is going to be guest starring on a podcast.
What?
It's not ours though, but that would be extra exciting. How funny is that?
Is the podcast literally called Almost Famous?
No, I don't know what it is. I just saw an article about it. I don't know. It didn't start yet, but there was an article about it, and they have like everybody, like Cameron Crowe. They got Kate Hudson.
Wow.
They got Billy Crudup and Jason Lee, and it's just So I had to share that with you.
When we get fancy, this would be the time that I'd say, well, Kate, you could put it in the show notes. We'll put the link in the show notes because we'll have notes.
Yeah, that's
fancy.
All right, so we are the Sisters Who've Seen It, the podcast where 2 sisters who are not movie critics look back on some of our favorites throughout the years through a psychological, ethical, and familial lens. Yes. I'm Katie.
And I'm Bridget.
And we're the sisters. Just 2. So yeah, that's
we have more sisters, but we've already discussed that on the last pod.
We did. We'll get them in. We'll rope people in. I mean, the special guest appearance last week was really exciting.
It was exciting.
I had Mary listen to the episode, and she was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "I know, right? Wow."
Well, we know we have one fan.
Yep,
and it's our other sister
because I peer pressure her into listening, so it's fine.
So, what's this week's movie, Kate?
Well, do you want to introduce it? Because I picked it for you.
I do want to introduce it. I liked how when you sent me the podcast, you did a lot of build-up. So I'm going to try to do better build-up. So I'd like to take you back.
Okay.
To the late 90s. To actually 1999.
Whoa.
Like, let's party like it's 1999. That's when this movie came out. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Ooh.
Oof. And because it was 1999, there is all these articles about how it's 20 years. If you Google 10 Things I Hate About You, and I don't know, fun facts or whatever, every article is like, it's 20 years old, and it still stands up. And I was like, whoa.
I feel old.
Yes. So,
whoa.
What did you think?
What did I think? Don't be a sicko. This is a great movie.
Why am I sicko for that? Asking what you think.
Those BuzzFeed articles are true.
They are true.
It still holds up.
So, I feel like I probably relate to this movie more. I was like, it's definitely a teenage movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little lackluster as you get older. And I bet if you're not a certain age, it goes above your head.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like it's a really good teen movie. And if I was to describe the plot,
yeah,
and I'm going to butcher, because I know it's a modern Shakespeare take on something of the Shrew.
Taming of the Shrew.
There we go. Taming of the Shrew.
I've never read that. Did you?
No, okay, no. Again,
okay.
Stop. But a lot of the writing came and the story came from Shakespeare, and it's a totally rom-com high school movie set in the suburban Seattle area, kind of upper, very white, middle class.
Yeah.
And there's these two sisters. One sister's popular, every guy wants to date her. One sister is just not interested in being popular, and
one sister is my aesthetic.
is Cat. Katie Cat.
Yeah.
Kitty Cat. And, you know, the other sister is the exact opposite. She doesn't want to live up to anybody's standard, and she doesn't want a label, and so she's in theory the shrew.
Yeah.
And part of the entire movie talks about how the dad has these crazy rules that the sisters have to date together. He's an OBGYN, and so he's nervous every girl is gonna get knocked up. So we'll talk about that later.
It was weak.
That was a little okay, you just pulled that out of your... But,
right.
You know, he's always nervous. They're going to get knocked up, and that's the worst thing ever. And so the one sister that never does anything, the shrew, he says, you know, Bianca, the popular one, you can't do anything unless she does it. So you can't date unless she does it. And it's this tug and pull of how do you get the shrew to date, and there's this huge plan on the back end from all these love interests for Bianca, and there's some twists and turns about love, and it's pretty fast, pretty quick. I was a little taking notes and being a little I gotta pause the movie. And
at one point I was like, I have whiplash. This is first we were here and now we're there. And
we're there.
And now
yeah.
I don't know where I am. Yeah.
But the typical 90s labeling of jocks and this high school that felt like it was a college, and, you know, I think all that stuff makes it really interesting and also ironically makes it hold up. But at the end, you learn the shrew really isn't a shrew, and that everybody has a reason for why they're doing certain things, and in true Shakespeare fashion, a good ending, but a realistic ending, I would say. And I thought that was not terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how would you describe the plot?
So, I mean, it's the two sisters who are pretty polar opposite. They're in the same school, same high school. And the older one is the very I hate everyone. Again, sometimes that's me, you know? I can relate. I was like, yeah, girl. And then the younger one is more social and is interested in dating and blah, blah, blah. And the dad is very strict and he's got a tight grip on the girls. And then he enacts the rule, well, the younger sister can date when the older one does. And really the whole thing that gets the plot going is the new kid, Cameron, who's played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I love him.
I cannot say his name. I go to say Joseph Gordon and I go
Joseph
Jordan.
Oh,
it's just Joseph Jordan, and then every time. So we'll have to correct that. Continue.
He needs a nickname. He needs an acronym, maybe.
Yes.
But he kick-starts the plot because he's the new kid. So because he comes to the school, through him, we are being introduced to this whole world, essentially. And that's when we see the high school and he meets... this is so terrible. I don't remember the name of the friend. The guy who was Bernard the elf.
Michael.
Okay, sure, yeah. Wouldn't have remembered that.
Because he was when Cameron was oh, thank God you're not a dork like these video controller guys, and then they walked past him and was hi Michael, and he was never mind, and then the entire movie he never had his name pronounced again, and I was
they never
really
say it.
to not look like a dork you don't get a name? That's so sad.
I could have looked it up, but I didn't. So
Michael.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so Michael. So he meets Michael, and Michael shows him around, and yeah, I want to talk. Yeah. Well, I don't want to now, but I do want to talk about the scene where they introduce all the group.
Oh.
But anyway, so then he
So
sees
90s.
Bianca. Oh, he loves Bianca. He wants to date Bianca, even though he doesn't know Bianca.
I burn, I pine.
Ugh,
I was just like,
bleh.
you always play a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Ooh, it was hard to say his name.
In Angels in the Outfield. Unless he secretly did and I missed it. But
He was like 12.
right. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Anyway, so then he basically, because of him, and he wants to date Bianca, and he knows she can't date till her sister does, he, behind the scenes, works to basically get the older sister to date someone, and he hooks up with Heath Ledger, who's the best. The best.
The best.
The best.
I mean, I had a steamy crush on him, and
Ooh.
I was spot on. I mean, looking at it later, I was like, good taste, young Bridget.
Yep. He's a dreamboat.
He's a dreamboat.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
And, oh yeah, respect.
R.I.P. Dreamboat.
Respect, dreamboat.
We're not doing good on this synopsis.
Sorry.
We're
okay.
not saying focused.
Sorry.
So, because you're good. You're adding the Michael part I missed. This is a good, better synopsis.
So I'll speed up like the movie does. So then
Yes.
basically they're working behind the scenes to get Heath to date Kat, but in order to do that, they have to rope in that annoying popular guy, Joey, who's the worst. And it's just kind of, yeah. So it's just like back and forth, all the stuff with that. And then eventually Kat finds out that it was all a behind the scenes thing and that Heath didn't really like her genuinely, but then he ended up really, and then blah, blah. And then, at the end, everyone's happy except Joey, who got punched in the face. Which was great. So pretty similar, just,
Yeah. No, you did a better job of giving more of the love interest and how that's really powering most of the plot lines.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of convoluted, but then that brings it to life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if you noticed this, but when the movie started, Touchstone Pictures. When was the last time you saw a movie from Touchstone Pictures? Aren't they not a thing anymore?
Oh, I don't know.
I had a moment where I was like, wow, I remembered a lot of VHS tapes being Touchstone, and I don't feel like I've seen that in a while, and I don't think it exists anymore.
They probably got bought out by Disney or some nonsense.
Oh.
Actually, they might have, because this movie was on Disney Plus.
You could definitely Google that, and that would be right. I guarantee that's right.
I bet it is, because also The Nightmare Before Christmas was Touchstone, and that's on Disney Plus. That's a Disney movie. So when this movie starts, immediately we go to 90s grunge girl rock music. Yes.
And it was a theme throughout the movie.
Yep.
I want you to want me. I need you to need me.
Yeah.
Could we talk about how that band was a one-hit wonder?
But
I forget the name of the band.
I don't even know. But the hair?
Oh, yeah. Lots of, spiky, twisty, bleached.
Uh-huh.
They just looked like dinosaur heads, dinosaur spikes.
None of them had good hair. None of the women.
Terrible hair.
I don't get it. It was weird.
Terrible
they also
hair.
played Bare Naked Ladies right in the beginning, and I was like, 90s!
Yes! And, okay, so when they start the movie, right off the bat, I'm like, here we go. Typical 90s movies puts people in buckets. So you see all the popular girls driving happy, and then there's Kat, the shrew, who's like, I don't give a damn about my reputation. Da-da-da-da-da. And in my head, I was like, okay, we get it. She has a sour puss and a bad car, and now even the song is like, she doesn't care about her reputation.
Why does she have a bad car? She literally lives in a mansion.
A mansion.
Why did her dad allow that?
That's okay.
Weird things.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Weird details.
Weird details, because it was so do you have to look like you kind of struggle even though you definitely didn't? And you know who called her out on that was that amazing Mr. Morgan.
Teacher. He was the
teacher.
Best.
I
love that part.
He stood the test of time.
Sure did.
Oh, we'll have to get into him. But oh my god, and then I go right to Allison Janney. being Miss Perky.
Wait, I
the
need
inappropriate guidance counselor who's writing a graphic novel.
I need to read you my notes about Miss Perky because it was so real. First of all, she's not married. Because it's Miss, not Mrs. Miss Perky.
Oh, God. That is a detail went over my head.
And she's writing porn in her office. That's how you get fired.
And it basically, like, sexually harasses every student because she asks, like, how to say the word, pulsing member with other vocabulary words. I was like, oh, this feels very icky. There's a lot of, like, sexual stuff with teachers and kids, but somehow the whole movie felt like the kids were the adults, and the adults were, like...
were useless.
Yeah, like...
I wrote notes about that.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't even know.
No authority, no accountability, nothing.
Yeah, they didn't matter. They hardly had dialogue.
Yeah.
I mean, Miss Perky, I'm telling you, I'm convinced that she was fired years ago, but nobody could tell her because they just feel so bad for her because she's a weird woman who all she has is this weird writing. So I think they just leave her. That's my fan theory, at least.
And why was she Perky? I thought of her name and I'm like, what's the point of that name? Because she's not actually Perky. And she's not actually the opposite of it. She's just super sexualized for no reason. We have no backstory into her at all. But we have to talk about her because she's Allison Janney and she's amazing.
She's an Oscar winner. Oh,
I mean,
queen.
She really...
But she literally, as a guidance counselor, is the worst because... people get sent to her office and she talks to them for a maximum of 10 seconds and then they are forced to leave and then there's no anything, so. And
like curses and gives the finger and then makes sexual harassment comments. How about Heath Ledger comes in and she's like, hey, kangaroo boy. I was like, ugh. And I was also like, why do we just ignore his Australian accent the whole movie?
I thought didn't they reference it?
Oh, that's what she was the only one. She was like, get out of here, kangaroo boy. That was the only reference.
No, I thought somebody, because you know how they kept talking about all those rumors about him, where they're like, oh,
yeah,
he ate a duck once, or some weird stuff.
He doesn't have a liver.
I thought there was one where he's talking to Kat, and he says he was born in Australia till age something.
I mean, possibly, but it just feels like you're telling me in a 90s movie where you're like, that's the jocks, that's the popular girls, that nobody was like, and that's the dude from Australia. They labeled him like, that guy's scary.
I mean, he was probably like smoked behind school during that scene, so they just didn't see him, you know?
True.
Like, he just wasn't in the shot.
True. Okay, can we talk about, I touched on it a little bit. What high school is that? Like, was that a prep school? It was the largest.
Yeah.
Their football field was college level. It was like NFL pro football field. What was happening?
And their marching band was the size of my coffee mug. So, riddle me that. Let me know how that makes sense.
Well, that was the other thing. They didn't... Actually, now that I think about it, they didn't really have a jock. Because having Joey, Andrew Keegan, which I have a really fun fact about his life later. I don't know if you've Googled that. Being a male model as, like, the cool guy, I was a little confused by what group is he in? Is it just because he looks, like, hot?
I thought
like,
it was,
what?
like, he was the rich... He's, like, a rich, good-looking idiot.
I guess.
Because that's a group.
Yes. And how about the white Rastafarians?
Ugh, it's just so weak. I was like, who wrote this? Nobody was like, guys, that's kind of stupid. Why don't we just have regular Rastafarians? I don't understand. Were they in there for that one joke? There was one
I literally
joke
think
about it.
Well, and Mr. Morgan,
yeah,
the greatest teacher, the only teacher that actually did anything for the children.
Teacher of the year.
Teacher of the year, Mr. Morgan, was like, I can't even deal with you. And in my head, I thought, is this a cultural thing where there's a lot of young white men thinking they can act like black men, and no one has said how completely dumb that is, and this was like the first movie to try to call it out in a 90s rom-com way? I don't know, but I felt the same way.
Wait, so how old were you when this movie came out?
Oh god, math? I don't know.
1999. Carry the 1.
Like...
Plus 2.
13. Middle schoolish.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
Because I was younger. Elementary school is so different than middle and high school, and there's not really like groups like that. But did you have white Rastafarians?
Oh yeah,
in your school?
They weren't called like Rastafarians, but they definitely were trying to act like young black men, and you were like, but you're not, and that that was definitely a thing, and it was just really, really sad. And there was a word that was used for it, which I will not repeat, because it's taking a W letter and then adding it to another word.
Yeah.
And it was awful.
Yeah, we know. The listeners know.
But the other group that I was like, what? Was
Cowboys?
Why are there cowboys in Seattle?
Did you have cowboys in your
No,
middle
I
school?
didn't.
I'm
I
confused.
did not have cowboys
Why?
at all.
They weren't even included in the plot. Like, they I don't get it.
I don't even know. And okay, so very white too, just in general. I don't know if you noticed that. I was like, wow, every character besides Gabrielle Union.
She's a queen.
Who is like, her character, I would say, is the exact opposite of the roles she plays now.
Yes.
Which is so telling of the times, because, I don't know, like, she could have got more screen time and more... I don't know, like, now knowing her as an actress, because, like, I love her Mary Jane. I don't know if you've watched that series. She's, like, unbelievable in it.
No.
She just plays the dumbest character, and you're like, huh?
Yeah.
Gabrielle Union, what? Bizarre.
Her character from Bring It On would beat up her character from 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes, she would. And then, okay, but I also looked up that she was actually the oldest cast member during this time, which I thought was really interesting, because
that's so weird.
Julia Stiles was actually like 17. She was like, that was her true age.
She kind of looked it, honestly. I didn't feel like she looked particularly
too old.
older. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did we think about her?
Okay, so obviously I appreciated some aspects of her.
Her angstiness.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, she was funny. She did a good angst.
She had some good one-liners. She always had a quick quip.
She did.
It's like you couldn't top her. You know, she would always have the last say. I appreciate that. I love the part where when Heath comes up, or I guess I should say his character's name, Patrick. When Patrick goes up to her for the first time and she's done playing soccer and she's all sweaty and gross and he's trying to make a joke, she literally like rolls her eyes, makes a sarcastic comment, and then she immediately walks away. She walks from the hottest guy ever, and he's throwing himself at her, and she's like, bye. And I was like, rare. That's amazing. Yeah. What a queen. Because I'm sorry, not even girls, not a lot of people would do that. They just wouldn't. So I like that.
Yeah, she was one of the characters. The whole movie was about love. If you don't have love, there's no literal personality to you. And she was the only one combating that throughout the entire film, besides Mr. Morgan.
I did take some issue with the whole point she makes. It's more towards the end. I can't find it in my notes, but she makes a comment basically being like, you know, I always try to do the opposite of what everyone expects. And, you know, as a psychologist that I promise I won't reference every episode.
I like it. You worked hard for it. You should reference it.
Listen, when you hear someone say that, my first thought is, there was some reason that you felt you need to say that, and it's her excuse for why she's different or why she acts the way she acts. But the reality is, if you don't care about what other people think, you will not base your actions or anything off of what other people might think. Do you know what I'm saying? So if she's thinking, oh, they're gonna think I'm gonna smile and laugh, so I'm not, that means you do care what people think. So those are not the same. So that I feel like it came up with the prom scene, because she goes on and on. I hate prom. Ugh, that's so lame. She rips down the prom poster. She does a whole monologue about it, and then she has a prom dress. What? And makes a comment about it and says,
oh, how'd you get a tux last minute? And Heath Ledger says, well, how'd you get a dress last minute? And they both were like, hee hee hee. And it's like, okay, so they actually did care.
Yes, but that's what I mean. It's like, I don't know. I didn't like that aspect because I felt like they could have got away with her being the way she was without having to explain it in that sense.
I agree. And I would say so in general, I got a little sick of all the characters' extreme personality. I'm Bianca, and so I'm the sister who's totally, which you can blurt me out because they use this word a lot. I'm doing that on purpose, so you have to just have one long beeping out of me. But she was one way. Cameron was the hopeless romantic. Heath was like the dark man that nobody, understood. And it just was like, all right, we can have a little depth. And so Kat was the only character with some depth. Yeah. And even that, I felt like we could have used more of that. Even Andrew Keegan's character, even Joey, to be like, maybe like seeing a scene with his parents that were like, you're ugly, Joey. And he's like, no, I'm not. Like just something to describe why they were the way they were. Yeah. Because they all kind of came off, and this is back to our original point, as like bratty. Yep. Bratty kids doing whatever they wanted with no authority. And I don't know if I'm just sounding like an old lady, but it just...
You darn hooligans! You get off my lawn!
But okay, so Michael, the character, nobody remembers his name, in the first scene, he gets a motorcycle to be cool, okay, then goes off that hill because he was gonna hit a car, almost dies, and then gets up and everyone's like, yeah! What was the point? No one knows. Did he get in trouble?
Okay.
Nope. No one knows.
Nope. There's no adults.
There's and then how about
no adults?
How about Heath Ledger? Just the only scene adults come in, which are like old fat cops. When Heath Ledger goes on, he starts singing the song on the bleachers, and they keep trying to chase him like it's a cartoon. They're like running into each other and falling over, and they're like, "We can't get you." It just, and then that giant party at one of the Bogey Lowenstein's house that I'm like, what? Oh, I also thought about, I'm going on a tangent, so you gotta just cut me off when you're thinking of things.
Okay.
When Julia Stiles got drunk and she's at the party and she jumps on the table and starts doing a little stripper dance, I thought about, what if there were phones back then? Kids can't act that way anymore because they're recorded. Think of Mary.
No,
they're always recorded.
Those kids would put that nonsense on TikTok and be like, people follow me.
But you know what I mean, though? Like a drunken,
no, I know
embarrassing blackout moment.
Yeah. Social media, I'm sure, would have really changed this movie. Joey would have just been taking selfies the whole time.
Yes, he would have. Yes, technology would have. And the whole scene of, oh, those are the MBAs, the group that wants to go to business school, and I'm laughing because they would be like the tech nerds, the Silicon Valley tech nerds, in technology world. But it was really fast paced.
Yeah, there was a lot of, just going back to your point, there was a lot of physical comedy, and it was always random and unrelated to the plot.
Yes.
Just exactly what you said. That motorcycle scene, I was like, I remember this, but why? But why is this happening? And then it just ended. And I was like, and it's done. And then the scene where, again, Kat is playing soccer, and you see Bogey golfing, and in my head, I'm like, oh, okay. And then, okay, Bogey's there. Why am I looking at Bogey for so long? And then he hits a golf ball, and there's a kid with a basket, and then the kid gets knocked out, and that's it. And there's just so much. I mean, the
You're
party
spot
scene,
on about physical comedy.
That's what it was,
on. And the bow and arrow?
Yes.
Remember the bow and arrow?
The bow and arrow. Nobody reacts. One student walks over, and the teacher's like, oh, what a predicament. Nobody needs to get suspended. It's fine. It's all fine.
Motorcycle, golf, soccer practice, paddle boats.
Do they hate jocks? Is that where you're going with this? Conspiracy theory?
Paintballs. I just think it's kind of interesting that it's the first high school movie that's not about football and, the big game or the baseball player. And you're right, they did all this other stuff but that.
Yeah.
But the typical high school, whatever the leading team is. Ooh, interesting.
I love I guess it was kind of physical comedy, where it's the bogey party, which, again, how did Bogey not know that everyone got invited? Anyway, I'll let it go. It's fine. It's all fine.
Well, and they're supposed to be the smart MBAs, and you're like, you didn't get like a tip from all the flyers.
You guys didn't see all that litter in the hallway?
Bogey, I don't know if MBA's your track.
No. And he's just sitting there with these people, and then the doorbell rings, and he goes, that must be Nigel with the brie. And he walks to the front door, and then the mob of people come in. But if you look, Nigel's in front, and he's holding the brie. And he's being shoved by the crowd. It was the funniest thing ever.
I didn't see that
It was
at
amazing.
all.
You have to rewatch that scene.
I
so
need
funny.
to just go see who Nigel is and what kind of brie Nigel had.
I don't know who the heck Nigel was, but he had that brie. It was on a plate. I don't know.
Ugh.
It probably fell. It was so funny.
Oh my god. Yeah, and although thinking about the no football and no whatever sports theme, they did center around prom. That was kind of
but not a crazy amount.
Not a crazy amount.
It really wasn't. It was not a lot of build up. They were like, oh yeah, there's prom. And then the next day it was like, and now we're about prom. And you're like, oh wait, did we know about prom? Or
Yep.
Who organized this? When did this happen?
Also, when I was a teenager, I literally never put Kat's friend, who was in love with Michael, Mr. Shakespeare.
She was in love with normal Shakespeare, which was
normal
weird.
Shakespeare. And I did not connect the dots as a teenager. And now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, that was, kind of a tip to Shakespeare being the writing for this. And duh. And I just thought, like, what weirdos wearing their little Shakespeare outfits, because so many 90s movies would have, like, Shakespeare themes, and I never thought about it.
But it's also like, did you have a Shakespeare girl in your high school? Because I don't think I did. I don't think so.
But you'd have, like, a theater geek. I mean, definitely.
I
Katie,
mean, maybe.
was that you?
It was
Katie,
not.
were you the theater
No,
geek? Okay,
it wasn't
okay.
me.
That could have been awkward. We need to talk about the wildest scene. Do you know what it is? 5, 4, 3, 2,
paintball?
1. What happens before paintball?
Oh my god, I know what you're talking about.
Katie?
The detention scene.
Detention scene. What? Let's set the scene. What's happening?
We gotta walk through, because there's a lot of whiplash.
A lot, yes.
I'm gonna find my section.
So I have mine up. I'll just kind of give you she gets sent to detention because literally Mr. Morgan is just sick of her.
She's not in detention, though. I thought he was in detention.
You're correct. My bad.
Okay. Good scene set.
Wait, why did he get... See, it was so busy. Why did he get sent to detention?
He was in detention because he sang the song on the football field. Not sure why that's illegal. Like, there's so many other terrible things happening all around, but they get mad at him for that.
You know what's funny? For all of the teenagers totally disrespecting all authority, they really respected detention. There was a lot of detention scenes.
And they were sitting, quietly and not being, crazy. Well,
except for the kid that had pot, and then the teacher was like, cool, I'm gonna smoke some pot, and then take Cheetos.
So I did not pick up that reference when I was younger, and I watched it this time, and I was like, that's amazing. It's random, but amazing, and it shows how stupid the adults are, but I love it.
All the adults are dumb.
So dumb.
Okay, so he's in detention.
Yep.
She wants to get him out. Katie, what happens?
Okay, so she comes in. Her goal is to distract the teacher, and I guess the teacher was the soccer coach.
Yes.
Which is super convenient for her. So she goes in to talk to him about soccer, and as she's doing that, she's looking at Patrick Heath, and she's giving him the signal to be like, get out the window. I don't know why she couldn't wait perhaps the half hour. How long is detention? How long? I'm not sure.
Or the door? Could you go out the door?
Why are we rushing? I'm not sure. Anyway, but she had to get him out. So she is trying to distract him. She's talking about soccer. He kind of is losing interest, and so she keeps trying to get his attention. And she keeps upping it. So she talks to him. She's yelling. Then she grabs the teacher's face. Okay,
awkward.
So that's...
Totally. She cupped his cheek. It was a very awkward moment.
Gonna get you a detention. That's uncomfortable.
Again, imagine technology videoing this.
Right. And then the teacher is about to, for no reason, look away, and she decides the best course of action is to flash him and...
Flash your little...
It's like a hold. She holds it.
She held it.
She held solid 3 seconds. That's a long time. And he looked. And I hated it all.
He did look.
And
all I gotta
say is one question. Was there a bra? And
definitely not.
Second not question, the teachers union would be all over that and she would be suspended or expelled. So there would be lawsuits. That's all I'm saying. That's just reality.
Oh my god, beyond. And I just love how they were like, I got you out of detention by showing my boobies. And you're like, what? So many other non-sexual things. But again, starting from Miss Perky, Allison Janney, she kicked off the sexual teacher vibe.
Bratwurst.
But it was like I didn't feel creeped out.
No, it wasn't skeezy. But
it wasn't skeevy, but it just felt so like, are they your friends? It was like this, are they actually authority? Or are they just the extra teenagers? It was just so weird.
They all cursed too. Everybody's like,
yes.
Except the dad. I think the dad was the only one of the adults who was actually an adult to some degree.
Yes.
I mean, he was too much.
He was
on
a little
the other
much.
End of the spectrum.
He was a little much.
Right, like he had the reins a little too tight, whereas everyone else didn't have a horse at all. So
I loved his scene when he was like, I'm hip, I'm cool, I got the 411, running around like those Dawson River kids. You know, I was just like, my God. Did you write that down?
Of course. He wrote... Oh, it was when, Oh, this was a weird scene, too. This was another physical comedy. He's, like, by himself on their sweet porch, which has a built-in hot tub, which is my dream. And he does a total of 7 crunches. That's which again...
I do remember 7.
Which, again, can relate. And then he stops, and he's doing this stretchy thing, and then Bianca comes out to talk with him about, I guess, the dating thing. I didn't really write it down. And his exercise stretchy thing flies away and crashes through a window off screen. And they don't say anything about it. Nobody reacts. Having their conversation.
This is why it made me... I kept thinking the movie made me tired because they were going scene to scene. It wasn't. It made me tired because people were like literally physically running and moving and jumping and activities. I was so, especially during COVID times, like so many activities.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, oh my God, I forgot that's what real life is supposed to be. But this is the Dawson's River quote. He goes, "What's normal? Those damn Dawson's Rivers kids sleeping in each other's beds and whatnot." And she was just like, that's not what the thing is. Okay, I
don't know. The thing that I also thought was weird was he's this overprotective dad, but their mom just left.
I hated that subplot so much.
And then the one scene where Bianca's wearing the pearls and Kat's like, where'd you get that? And she's like...
I hated it.
She was like, oh, from mom. And so you're just gonna wear it? It's not like she's coming back. And it's like, what did the mom do? Why? I mean, what did women do that, like, I'm so confused. Why did she leave? And
I don't know. I mean,
it was just weird.
I think it was just a weak plot point. I don't think it was
a
statement about women per se, but yeah, I agree. I had a lot of notes for this movie because that's how good it is.
It was pretty good.
I'll just remember it. So yeah, I mean, with the whole Pearl scene, it's exactly what you said. You're kind of like, this is out of nowhere. Is this gonna relate? The only thing that you learn about it is we had a mom and she's gone. And that's it. It never comes up again. The only time it's brought up is at the closer to the end when the dad is talking to Kat about, oh, you know, your mom left, so I had to have a tight grip on you girls. But anyway, go off to college. And you're kind of like, why? Like, we didn't need the mom plot.
No,
we didn't.
Agreed.
It didn't play into Kat's character. If you were to say, like, oh, Kat's really...
Totally.
She's angry because she doesn't have a mom. That I would have bought. Or being like, Bianca really wants to find love because she saw her parents break up and she's worried she'll never find love.
Yes,
If
nothing.
It was tied
None of
in
that.
way, I think it would have worked a little better, but yeah, no. I wonder if, though, that was part of the Shakespeare play, if there was maybe something related to that, and they were just like, we can't mess up Shakespeare, so we gotta put it in.
Yeah, he was the dad character. I was like, I do remember some dads being like this. Some of my friends' dads being weird, but not to the point that they'd make you wear a pregnant belly.
I wore that. We had to wear that
Katie.
in high school. Did you have to wear that in high school?
No, why?
What? It was amazing.
What? Wait, why?
Because in senior year health, it was all about babies, and I feel like we kind of just learned about babies, to be honest. It was a weird curriculum looking back, because
even though you all got like your period and like
nobody was planning on having children, so I'm not sure what the point was. But yeah, so we all had to wear the pregnant bellies, and you basically had to put it on and then walk around the school and try to do tasks to understand what it was like. And I will never forget Mel, my good dear friend from when I was little.
The one and only listener of our podcast.
I was in AP Bio, and anytime you had a science, you had a lab. So I'm in there, and she's not in my class with me. But at the time, she was in health class during my bio lab. So I'm in my bio lab. Everyone's working quietly. All of a sudden, the door gets kicked open, and it's Mel wearing the fake pregnant belly, and she walks into the classroom and she yells at my science teacher, whose name was Mr. Yu, Mr. Unterstein. She goes, "Mr. Yu, I've come for your blessing." And he was like, "Get out of here."
Why is she so random?
The funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, and it was amazing. Also, Mr. Yu passed away, so respect, Mr. Yu. He was great.
Mr.
He
Yu.
He had a good sense of humor. But anyway, so
Poor
yeah,
guy.
I did have to wear those things, and it was weird. But that was health. Could you imagine if our dad was like, "Yo, put the suit on before you go out"?
There's no way.
Too much.
The one thing, though, that, like, Bianca's whole, Daddy, how gross is that? And by the way, I don't know if you have friends that use, like, daddy now.
Gross. Disgusting.
Oi.
Do you have friends like that?
I mean, I don't know. If I paid attention, I'm sure, but I feel like, I don't know, some people just grew up that way, right? Like, that's how they describe it. It just was so, I was like, she's like a little child. And then this is actually my favorite scene, because I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard.
What?
It was like, okay, Bianca is a 5-year-old child. So she goes to Kat, and she's like, "I really want to go to prom. You don't get it. Like, you're going to leave, and you don't get it. You're just such a jerk." And I was like, oh my God. And so she's so sad that she goes into the backyard and she's on the
tree swing. Oh my God.
She's got these little, like, Skechers with, like, the socks that fold down and have, like, little wispies. And she's just sitting there sad, and there's some sad music. And I was like, wow, whoever edited this part, like, you gotta cut that. I've never laughed so hard. I was like, this is so, she's like a 5-year-old stuck in a 15-year-old body. It was so bizarre. I'm so mad. I'm gonna go on my tire swing, cry.
The wardrobe designer, like, was sick that day, so they just had some random old guy be like, "Don't worry, guys, I know exactly what teenage girls wear. It's fine. Here, put on the schoolgirl outfit. It's perfect.
And we need you to be sad on this tire swing in the backyard." Wait, what? Yes, that's where we need you to be for this scene.
Totally makes sense.
Oh my God. But, all in all, it is still a good movie, but I was tired. I was pretty tired, and
there's a lot.
I did some looking up of the characters, and I want to get back to this point before I forget it. Andrew Keegan, do you want to know where he ended up in life?
Oh, I'm nervous.
So when I was really young, I would say the 8 to, I don't know, 13, it was like Justin
Timberlake?
Jonathan Taylor Thomas and like Devon Sawa and Andrew Keegan. And
Devon
Andrew Keegan,
Sawa.
like, oh yeah. And I was just like, oh man, these dreamboats. And Andrew Keegan in this movie is funny because he's still pretty hot. And you're like, what a dreamboat, but his character sucks, so you're not into it.
Yep.
So then I thought to myself, I don't know if he's been in anything recently. And don't worry, Kate, he hasn't because he started a cult. It's like a spiritual religious cult.
No.
About like yoga and random and then I think they got shut down because they were selling kombucha illegally to like
what?
People. You have to look this up. And it's weird. You have to see pictures of him now. It's weird. You're just like, Andrew Keegan.
You know,
weird.
I could see the character Joey later in life doing that.
Yeah,
He just like hits rock bottom. He's got like a bad experience in the modeling world, and he uses his looks to brainwash.
Totes.
That's cray.
Yeah, but I would say, all in all, I liked the movie. I liked it more as a teenager. I honestly just liked looking at Heath Ledger because he's such a dreamboat.
Oh, he's so good, and he's just a good actor.
He is.
I know he won an Oscar. And
he's subtle.
He's been in great movies, but he was younger in this, and he was very good.
And Julia Stiles, they were a good match with each other. You believed it. It was just really good. And I don't know. Good movie, but I'd have to get some energy up for this. Or I would recommend people to be a little tipsy to watch it. It could be like silly and dumb.
Yeah.
But sober, writing notes, it was a little much.
Yeah, it was hard to keep up with because a lot of it is random, funny lines, and then you start laughing, but then you're like, oh wait, I have to pay attention because there's probably other stuff happening that I need to know about.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked all the characters individually. Glad Joey got punched in the face,
Totally.
Classic. Oh, there was one scene I did want to talk about. It kind of was my favorite, but not because of how it was presented, because of what I was thinking about during this scene. Was the one where before they get Heath involved, and it's Cameron and Michael / Bernard the elf, and they're like, we're gonna find someone to date Kat, and they go in an alleyway.
Oh my god.
And there's these
Katie.
Random
boys. And that was a lot.
Here's my thoughts. Who organized this? Who were these boys? What were they told? Because they clearly weren't told they were going to be asked to date someone, so I'm confused. And why are we in an alley? So that's 4 questions that immediately happened in my head that never got answered.
Do you know how that scene ended? Do you know specifically how that scene ended? It was a guy that they're like, hey, it's Kat, whatever her last name was, and he screams at the top of his lungs, like, ah! And then the scene just cuts away. And I'm like, wait, is that a high school reaction? It literally was on a roller coaster scream. It was the loudest scream ever. I was like, what?
And did they all leave the alley together? Did we stagger leave? I have so many questions. They were never answered. They'll never be answered. We'll never know.
The only believable activity, thinking about high school students, to me, was the paintball scene. I was like, this is actually age appropriate, and I could see high school students having fun and being silly, and everything else just felt random.
I would love to go to that paintball place. That looks so fun.
Definitely. Let's do it.
Where is it? I don't know.
I'm getting down to my notes, and I'm thinking about something that I really want to know, which is, did Dad have a quote for this movie? Oh no.
So,
oh God, what did he do?
He didn't.
Because you didn't ask him, or he didn't have one?
I didn't ask him because he didn't have one. But I'll give you a but though, because I watched this movie in the living room.
Ooh.
So at one point he was walking through the side of the living room, and the scene where the band, I think it was at prom, was playing, and they're like, cruel to be kind, boom, boom, bop. So that's playing, and they just keep saying, cruel to be kind, and they keep singing that, and so he walks to go in the bathroom, and he opens the door, and for some reason I was already looking at him, and as he has his back turned, he's halfway in the door, he whips around, and he's like, cool to be kind, and he just yells it, and then he goes to the bathroom.
He's such a ridiculous person.
That's all.
Okay, wait. So first of all, I talked to Mom and Dad this week, and I asked them if they knew about our podcast, and I don't understand how you live in the tiniest house with them, record this in your room, and the two of them had literally no idea we were doing this.
Because Dad has trained himself to tune everything out, and
my
Mom
God.
has ADHD, undiagnosed. So it makes a lot of sense.
So
when
are you
that.
saying that I could just bring this fact up every week, and she'll be like, "Oh my God, I didn't know," and then I'll just be like, it'll be like COVID. It'll be literally like, here we go,
Groundhog's
once again,
Day over
Groundhog's Day.
Yep.
Oh my God. Well, just way to go. Heath Ledger, Julia Stiles.
So good.
I mean, so good.
So good. Very funny.
Very funny, but physical comedy. You nailed it. That was the thing I wasn't getting. And yeah.
Yeah, physical comedy and a good ending.
A good ending. The you bought me the Fender Strat guitar. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh, you like guitars? Okay.
Yeah, that was another. I don't care what anybody thinks. And also, I'm going to start a girl band because, yeah, I'm angry and I want to make angry girl music. I just was like, what?
The poem was good.
The poem was good. You know, I read an article because I like to just kind of like do a little more research than my own opinion about it, and she wasn't supposed to cry in that scene. And it was her first big movie. She was 17 years old. She was so nervous doing it that she said she just started like busting out crying, and they were like, this is brilliant, we're going to keep it in.
I love how she cried.
I know.
I don't think it would have worked if she didn't.
I know she didn't. I mean, she was just so nervous. Just that was her first big acting role. Which, this is another side thing I thought of, because I was like, wait, when did Save the Last Dance come out? And it was after. And I thought, was that table dancing scene? People were like, you know what? That's our girl. She could shake it. You see her in that movie?
Just put her on a table. Let her go.
Give her a couple shots.
She good.
Yeah, but yeah, great movie. And I think, the best ending is the one-hit wonder band on the top of the giant college school that they pay for, that teachers are dumb and it's so expensive. I want you to want me.
Like, why are we up there? How'd they get up there? So many questions. These poor adults.
So many questions. So physical.
Yep.
Oh, my God. So tiring. So, great pick. And I have my pick for you.
Oh, boy.
And I'm pretty excited. And I feel like, okay, so couple setup.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like picking a movie today. I don't know if it's going to do it. So I'm going to try to keep it in the throwback era. And I think because you're my younger sister, I kept going to child like Disney PG movies. And I was like, all right, Bridget, all right, focus. She likes other things besides cartoons because
I do.
When in the 90s, in my mind, you were a little kid. And so that's the movies you liked.
I was.
So then I was like, all right, we got to get out of that era. But I thought to myself, what's a movie that there's also versions of it today? And I'd like to see kind of one of the first versions of it. So I'm going to take you back.
Okay.
The year 1989.
Ooh.
The movie Batman.
Yeah! Okay, but do you realize what you just did? You just made a connection, because in this movie we had Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who played Free Robin in The Dark Knight Rises, and we have Heath Ledger, who was in The Dark Knight. Oh,
that's how I thought of it. I was going there. I literally was. I was like,
It's amazing.
oh, they're making me think of this. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get an action, a Marvel, but just, I got to get Katie something like that. And
oh my God.
my God, Jack Nicholson.
Michael Keaton.
But babyface Michael Keaton. My God.
Girl.
So that's what we got.
I'm really happy.
Nice.
Oh, that's so exciting. Yay. Okay,
Yay.
good. Okay.
Well, we did it.
That, man, we're going to have to get masks. We have masks. Oh, it's a quarantine. Whoops.
Have you ever seen that Bat Dad? The guy that talks like this. His name is Bat Dad. That would be really cool if we acted like that.
We'll workshop it. We'll think about it. Okay.
Well, Katie, I'll tell you, there are 10 things that I love about you. So, thanks for this episode.
Oh, there's a million things I love about you, but I'll just say 10 because it's a reference. Love you.
Love you.
All right. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Sisters Who've Seen It. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, and on our website at sisterswhoseenit.buzzsprout.com. Also, follow us on Instagram at Sisters Who Seen It, all spaced with underscores. See you next week.